Have you ever gotten the putting yips where it seems like you just couldn't make anything? I'm talking about 3-footers, 2-foot putts, like your putting has just gone completely haywire. I'm gonna talk to you about why making your putting practice as hard as you possibly can is probably the best way in order for you to get better at putting or just to regain the putting skills that you might have lost. Let's do it, right? Meow. Thank you very much for checking out my video. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Kenny. You may know me as Kenny Cat. I'm an aspiring golfer that shares his journey on YouTube, trying to get better in the hopes that some of the things I learned along the way could possibly help you get better at your golf game. I'm gonna jump right into it. I had the putting yips for, it must have felt like ages. It was probably close to 2 months where I couldn't roll in putts from 5 feet. I couldn't roll putts in from 3 feet. Like I was just missing all over the place. Like my distance control was off. Nothing was working. Fortunately, I knew this was an issue because I use a game analyzer, Arccos Golf, and it gives you putting stats. And I had noticed that based off of my putting stats, which I tracked religiously, my handicap on Arccos for putting had gone up from like a 2.3 all the way to like a 7 or an 8. So it was steadily climbing, and I had to take a second to think about like why that might be and what was causing me to miss some putts. So let me jump into my little bag of tricks and putting tools, because you know I love putting tools. And then we'll talk a little bit about what I was working on and how it got me right back on track, brought that putting right back down, and I'm rolling putts as good as I used to. If you're not sure who Dave Pelz is, he's the guy that wrote this lovely little gem, the Putting Bible. And like, this thing is as thick as a Bible. Like there's a lot of information in here. Clearly I haven't gotten through all of it, as you can see by that bookmark there. But one of the best lessons that I learned from this book is thou shalt not 3-putt. I'm kidding, it doesn't say that in here. Actually, I don't know if it says it in here. I haven't finished it, but I'm assuming it doesn't say it in here, but that would be pretty funny if it did. So one of the things that I learned from this book, and amongst many others, is that putting comes down to 3 simple things. You gotta read the correct line, duh. You have to strike the putt on the correct line, which is where I was having issues. And then 3, you have to hit the putt on the correct pace for the line. So I've got 2 tools in this bag. This is the Dave Pelz Golf Putting Tutor. I don't know why Phil Mickelson is on it. Maybe he endorses it. Phil Mickelson maybe uses it, but that's definitely his logo. He's got a terrible signature though. Looks like Phil Mickabo. That is not the way you spell Mickelson. It's this little thing, which I've done other videos and reviews about. I'm sure I'll put a link somewhere in the description below. And it's basically a little plastic guide that you set down on the putting surface. You put the ball right here, and then you have these little metal ball bearings that go in these slots here. The slots that are closer to the edge are the most narrow, which obviously makes it more difficult. And the slots that are closest to the ball are wider, which makes it easier to go through. If you hit that putt without a square face and you do not roll that ball true, it's obviously gonna run off this line here, and this is just plastic, so it has to roll true. It's gonna run off this line, and it's gonna hit one of those barbells or those metal BBs, send them flying all over the place. It's actually very frustrating and very annoying. But I had another one from Pelz Golf Instruction that I wasn't using, and I definitely should have been, putting clips. Now, full disclosure, you could easily replicate this training aid I'm about to show you with some blue sticky tack on your putter. So if you're not in the habit of spending whatever this costs, I think it's like 25 to 30 bucks, somewhere in that range. I think it's well worth it, but that's my opinion. I like putting. I like putting aids. Maybe you don't. You can use some blue tack to simulate it. Just throwing that out there. Trying to be honest. It comes with 3. I'm only gonna show 2 of these because I don't want to hold up 3 of them. So it comes with these little things here. And if you can see them, they're little metal face inserts that you put onto the front of your putter, and it comes with like some little tape that you stick on there. It doesn't leave any residue, so I've used it many a times. And they have a, I got that one upside down. And there is like a regular one that has a lot of space, there's a pro one, and then there's a super pro one. So essentially, at the most difficult level, let me grab a ball really quickly. There's only so much space there where that putt can hit before you hit the rails, and it's not a lot. I mean, like it looks like it's moving a lot, but these are like millimeters. And then if you can even see it, well, you can't see it from that direction. Like that ball barely fits in there. But if you catch it at any point that's not perfectly in the center, it's gonna hit these edges and send the ball flying offline. In addition to the other tutor with the bearings, that makes for a very, very difficult putting setup. So I use both of those on the hardest setting because I had to figure out what the heck was going on with my putting. And I'm gonna show you what I found, and it was a very simple fix for me, and I was able to get back to putting pretty good. Like so, trusty Scotty. Unfortunately for me, my Scotty's got a line on the top, so it's really easy to line that up. If you don't have that line, I suppose that probably would be a little bit more difficult, but I wanted to make sure that my putts were starting straight and that I was also hitting it in the center of the face, because if I don't hit it in the center of the face, it can affect the speed at which the putt's gonna roll. So this training aid, in a combination with that training aid, helps me understand if I'm hitting it square and if I'm also hitting it in the center of the face. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do this 4 times in a row. I will be honest with you, as good of a putter as I am, do not judge me. This is on the hardest difficulty. This is the super pro setting. There's PGA pros that can't even do this on this setting with that. So I'm gonna give it a rip 4 times in a row and show you what happens, and then we'll talk a little bit about what my issue was and what got me to fix my putting games. On the first one, obviously got a little bit of camera shot. So as you can see, not only did I not hit the putter square in the center of the face probably wasn't square, like it's just, everything's going everywhere. It's like a mess. So I'm gonna go back and give it another try. Stay with me, patient YouTube viewers. I promise you that this will work. That was a pretty good example. As you can see, obviously, they weren't going in. It might not be perfectly level, but they were hitting the center of the flag stick and popping out. But for the purposes of this, I just wanted to make sure that I could hit the putter in the center of the face with this incredibly difficult putting thing. So that means that all those strikes were absolutely perfectly centered in the middle of the face, and the face was square because it rolled through and hit my target on every single putt. What I found was when I was putting and I started this, but I kept hitting the right ball bearing, which means I kept pushing my putts. So as I stared at my putter and understood, when I set my putter square, oh, let me change the camera angle because I'm getting like, my knees are hurting. What I noticed was I kept knocking that right ball bearing off, which meant the putt kept pushing. And I wasn't knocking it off at the easiest setting. I wasn't knocking it off at the medium setting. I was knocking it off at the most difficult setting consistently. And it was always the right one. And it would just go flying across the floor and the cat would be chasing it around, you know, because cats like chasing around small metal balls. My face at address had been set just slightly open. My putter suffered a little bit because I wasn't practicing the daily things that I did to make sure my putting was consistent. I had just started to leave the face open, like maybe a degree. It was almost unnoticeable to my eye. Even when I set the face of the putter flush to like a ruler or like I used a level, it looked to me like it was closed. Like from my eyes, it appeared to be closed. So like you can't argue with the level, like it's level. And that's all you really need to miss a bunch of 5-foot and 8-foot putts in that range. Like I was pushing every putt over the right edge of the hole. It was starting to get so frustrating. I was burning the right edge of every single hole that I put it on. So that right there is essentially what helped me recognize where my putting yips were coming from, how to diagnose them, and now I practice with this thing religiously. I want my putting practice to be as hard and as frustrating as humanly possible, because when I get out on the course and I'm standing over that 5-foot putt to make par or to make birdie or to win a bet with my friends out on the golf course, because gambling is golf, you know, just call it what it is. I want to make sure that I've tested myself under the stress of a very hard environment, that I can consistently hit putts in a perfect area with a perfectly square face and get a target to roll 8 feet down my birdie ball into the hole. And I got it back on track. Now no more putting yips. Rolling those putts straight and into the hole. Ugh. All right, people, that's all I've got for you. Thank you very much for watching this video. The best compliment you can pay me is a thumbs up if you happen to like this. Please feel free to subscribe. I do have content coming out on a weekly basis. Deuces, let's keep it moving.